So every time I used to go with my friends and then we would get drunk and get whatsoever. So I started to sing. Like in high school, I used to be the person that was singing in chapel, and then they would call me, and then everybody knew me in high school. So because of that, so after in high school, so every time I want to go to see this young woman in church, I would not smoke, I would not drink, because her father had a church, so I needed to go to see her in the church. So I always wanted to impress her that, hey, listen, all this born again, I'm a born again person too. You know, it's not just you. So every time I want to go there, I will not do none of this because I don't want her to know, because she's going to say, okay. So every time. So because of that, I started to go there to see her every day. Sincerely, that's how I stopped. Yeah, so I am Jesse D. Pratt from Liberia, a gospel artist. I've been doing music about 15 years now. I've been doing ministry for about 10 plus years, 10 to 11 years. My mom is Liberian, my father is Liberian. My father is from the Pele speaking language, Dalit in Liberia. Yeah, so I have a brother and I have a sister. So I am the middle child in my household. Yeah, so I have 2 siblings. For me, I was in school, but I was also doing music. I started doing music from a very young age. Before we started to get recognition in our nation, in our country, and beyond our country to different places in West Africa and the globe. We went through a lot of downplayed, people overlook us, and we invested a lot of time. We did not have a lot of harvest, which was not too really good. But we had a lot of challenge, especially we just came from the war, right after the war. So you had people just going back to school, things were starting up in Liberia. So, I mean, there were a lot of things that was happening, but it wasn't stayed that right. So we had a lot of things going on, especially that particular issue that happened with the war, that had a lot of people leaving school. Schools were closed. I mean, businesses were closed. Churches and everything were closed. So when we came back to Liberia after the war, it was like we were restarting. So every other industry was starting, even the music industry and everything. So it was a bit slower. Yeah. So we had, from my early days, you asked about my childhood. From my early days, I came from my family had this humble beginning, but as time went on, God started to bless us, and I mean, here we are today. African parent. You want to do music? You sure? You sure? Are you not going to be doctors? Are you not going to be lawyer? Why would you do music? But you know, though they were saying that, but especially my father, I remember being around the age of 15, 14, but every concert that I went to sing in the church, my father was there with me. My father did not, he would take me, he would wait for me, and then I would sing, and then, I mean, so my dad was very supportive. My dad was very supportive, but I mean, there's still some things on her that I want you to do this, I want you to do that. So you're just gonna do what they want you to do for them, and then you do what you feel led to do, or what you find peace doing. So music is not just something that I just do. It's not something that I do. Yeah, money comes, but it's not something that I started because of money. I started because I had a passion, and I saw my life, and I saw how I could reach out to people, how I could be a blessing, how I could be very instrumental to the life of a lot of people, and how I could communicate a message to the young people and tell them that, especially in Liberia, God has used us to be a voice to that nation, to go beyond the walls of Liberia when it comes to gospel music to different nations of the earth. And God has given us a great platform in Liberia that have been a blessing to millions and thousands of people around the globe. So for me, that alone, I don't take that lightly. Before I was born again, there's a place I used to stay. It's called Old Road in Liberia. My guys had a name for me. They used to call me Only the Scent. Only the Scent. You know the scent that you smell? So after we have drunk strong gin, yes, after we have drunk strong gin, after we have smoked, the only thing you smell is the scent. Every other person will get, for me, every other person will get tips and whatsoever, but then I will still be going strong. So that's how the guy gave me only the scent. That's how bad we were. So we grew up. So I grew up because I was blessed. My parents had a lot of opportunities going for them. So because of that, we stepped out a bit. So we did unnormal things. You want to talk about we just had a bit of everything. So funny enough, if I tell you how I got saved, you won't really believe. So every time I used to go with my friends, and then we would get drunk and get whatsoever. So I started to sing. Like in high school, I used to be the person that would sing in chapel, and then they would call me, and then everybody knew me in high school. So because of that, so after in high school, so every time I want to go to see this young woman in church, I would not smoke, I would not drink, because her father had a church, so I needed to go to see her in the church. So I always wanted to impress her that, hey, listen, all this born again, I'm a born again person too. You know, it's not just you. So every time I want to go there, I will not do none of this because I don't want her to know, because she's going to say, okay. So every time, so because of that, I started to go there to see her every day. Sincerely, that's how I stopped. But I did not still have that kind of life, that godly life, that total surrender to God. Because there's another thing to be a good person, and there's another thing to be to live for God, to have God in your life, to go to that dimension where it's no longer about you. Where I wrote a song that is called Death to Self, where your self dies and your spirit come alive. Where so I wasn't still at that level, but I was getting to be a good person. I dropped the bad habits because I started to love singing. So my friends would have concerts and whatsoever, so they would invite me for the concert, and then I started to sing in a group, and all my friends in that group, they were not smoking, they were not drinking. So I needed to be among them every day for rehearsal and whatsoever. So because of that, I would not go into the bad habits. So as I mix myself with good people and watch, it's always good that, that the people will say a bad company corrupts good manner. So it's always good that you find yourself in a very good place. Good people. People in my place, they're going to say that, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So your friends get to time me a lot of things. You will say that, peer pressure don't catch me, but peer pressure works. In my case, it was a positive peer pressure. Like, so every time I go around them, I don't want to do this because I have them to impress. I want them to know that I'm a good boy. But somewhere inside, enough for fun. we say like that in Liberia. Yeah, but I mean, with time, as I continue to do that, the drive, the appetite, because the Bible says that wheresoever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So when you find yourself in the presence of God, day after day, months after months, weeks after weeks, you can't remain the same. So because of that, that's where I started to get transformed. I started to know God for myself. And then when the opportunity came for me to leave Liberia and do school in Nigeria, do a music school, and then serve as a music director for a church in Nigeria. That's how I left, and then I went to do that. So that's our story. That's all these things are part of it there. You don't see a ghost. You can't touch it to say, oh, I only do. And it's a big lie. Nobody should tell you that. Because there's an urge. As any young man, when you drink, what comes to mind? Let's go and look for ladies. No, let's be real. Me, I'm a real person. Like I told you, I'm a youth pastor. I talk to a lot of youth, so I mentor a lot of youth, and I tell them, I say that if you have this habit will lead you to another one. So if you think that this is only for me to just drink, my dear, after you get through drinking, the next thing I come to you, talk. This liquor I've drank, I need to find a lady that way she know. Oh, my dear, you don't like to talk it, but most of the time, alcohol awakens it stimulates a part of you as a man to go and look for a woman. So it's very obvious. You can't, we should not go around it. So if one thing is going to lead to another, and then in this, you're going to have to, you might, except you're blessed or except you're using protection, but you might have to face a lot of things, and then that's going to break you down in the future, which is it's not everybody that God helps to come out and then have a story that you can share with other young people. And guess what? In my entire life, this is the first time that I'm sharing this story. They did not know. Let me tell you why. It was the first time they expelled me from a school. That's when my daddy got to know. He was so surprised because I am the most quiet person in the house. When I don't know you, I don't speak. I'm an introvert, so I understand. So it's just because of what I do, I meet a lot of people. So I have to be out there, so I have to behave. But normally when we sit here and we don't have anything doing, or we don't have any work to do, man, you will not get anything from me because I'm a kind of person that is an introvert. So they did not really know, because every time I come back home, I'm cool. If I'm doing that, if it costs for me to sleep to a friend's place, so long, maybe I'm there, but I don't want them to know. That's a place. And my parents were always busy to an extent. My father had a construction company. My mom is an engineer, so they were always on the field. They were always traveling here, there, and doing that. So most of the time, they trusted me. They trusted us to an extent. So, in fact, that's one of the reasons why I had to switch. Because one day my father is a pastor. So one day he sat me down when they gave me when they expelled me from a particular school, and then he told me, he said, "This is not you." My father spoke to me and I cried. That was when, from that day, I did not put any substance or anything in my mouth or do any crazy thing. When he spoke to me, and he made me, he held me close, and after that he still disciplined me. there was still some discipline that he did. But I mean, it's just out there to parents. Listen, make sure you monitor your children. Edit their friends. If it calls for you to cut up some friends for your children, for them to be really good, for them to understand some things in life, there's some friends that they have, they're not necessary to be their friend. The first thing is that from that experience, my friends don't choose me, I choose my friend. I decide to be your friend. You don't decide to be my friend. So I see something and I see it in you and I want to be a part of that. So I connect with you. And then I find something too that you can be a part of in my life. So I give you. So friendship is both ways. Now, what am I getting? If your kids are friends with this person, ask yourself, what does my kid stands to get from this person? What are the morals? What kind of family is this person from? These things are very particular. Be very particular about these things because I mean, charity begins at home. You might not have all of the time because you're working. You might not have all of the time to stay with your kids. But if you can find out what they're involved with and overall, make them your friends. Make them your friends, because when they're actually your friends, they can tell you anything. They can I'm confiding in you. They can when they're having some challenges, they will be able to tell you that, hey daddy, hey mommy, I have these challenges and yes, I'm going through such a thing. Yeah, so that's it. Are the challenges that I face as a ministering to young people, especially leading young people in the music segment and then in youth ministry and everything. Listen, in our generation, the flesh is more than the spirit. So you will see that a lot. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is that the youth just want to be hyped. You understand what I mean? The youth just want to be hyped. They just want to just be hyped. So they're not really experiencing this God in depth for their self. To deal with these challenges. So the challenges that I face, I'm working with young people in this generation, especially in ministry, and then how I was able to deal with these challenges. Wow. The first thing is that you need to understand who you are called to. Even in the young people, my calling has been to music ministers. I've been called to music ministers. So I have, like I was telling somebody, I said my calling is not to sing. I just shared with them and the person said, what do you mean? It's because of singing that we know you. I said, yes, that's why you know me. So singing just gave me a certain level of influence for you to hear what my message that I have. Singing is not my calling. It's just a means for you to hear me. For me to have the influence, for me to have your ears. When I have your ears, I can go ahead to give you my calling. My calling is to build music ministers for them to understand their calling, what God has called them to. So even in the youth era, I still have a segment. That's why we have an event in Liberia every year called Generational Worship, that we have people coming from different parts of the world to come for that event. It's every year. So your question is, how have I dealt with it? Number one, I find the problem first. What is this person's problem? What do I think that is this person's problem? And then I want to start to put myself, Because a lot of time, this self-righteousness stuff drives people away, where you feel so righteous and you don't want to mix with sinful people, and you just talk them down, look down upon them. So I feel like the first thing is that you want to have a relationship with the people that you mentor. Let them know that you're not talking down on them. Let them know that you love them, you care about them, but you're here to correct them. So we would talk like maybe I had somebody that really close to me, a young guy that got a young lady pregnant. I did not cut him off from around me, nothing. The church suspended him, so he's on my team, so I suspended him too. But then while he was going through the suspension, I was a blessing to his family. I was there night and day. I mean, gave him my, why? Sorry, I was there, you just cut that part. I was there, please just take it outside. I thought I put on silent, I'm so sorry. I was there night and day, giving my support, spiritual support, financial support, physical support. So for you to deal with the issue, you have to understand the root cause of the issue. There are some people that will come to us, especially you dealing with youth, and they have dealt with a lot of things. Like I was counseling a young lady that, you know, she was an original sugar daddy kind of person. And then if there's any man of God, say, you are sinful. You're gonna be, Jesus is going to deal with your sin. But the first thing is that, how you doing? You okay? Is everything fine? You're sure? And then give the person a hug. Let the person feel love. Like that, even if you're scolding the person, even if you're letting know the person, you're letting the person know that, listen, this is wrong. The person know that I am love, so I'm corrected in love. So the way I deal with a lot of young people, not to drive them away from the kingdom, is that I correct them in love. Being a pastor kid, my God, you have to be in church almost every day. You have to, if you can sing like me, no, you have to sing in a choir. And then you cannot miss choir practice. If you miss choir practice, they're coming for you. And then there's a lot of expectation. You have to be right because you're the pastor's son, you're the reverend's son. Say Reverend Pratt's son. But you know, for me, I want to be very sincere. All these things, they don't really matter to me. I did not really care. People will say, oh yes, from day one, I've been a person that don't impress. I will not impress you. So I will do the things that I want to do. So even as that, there used to be a lot of complaints and whatsoever, but even my father, when they go to him, he was just, we're praying for him. We're praying for him. So, but I wasn't that hard-headed or troublesome when I was much younger. I think my trouble, I started to give trouble from the age of 17, 18. That's when I really started to give exposed trouble. Though I already started my trouble, but in a close place. But I started to give, you know, when my trouble became exposed, it was around 17, 18 years old. Yeah. For me, from childhood, I did not really care about what you think about me. So even as a pastor kid, I mean, I was doing me. I was going ahead with my, like I said, my me being bad was still in the corner. It was not exposed. So a lot of people didn't really know me, because whenever we come to the church, we'll be, yeah. And then when we go, I mean, the guys that goes out, they will see me. The guys from the church. So all of us, we have seen each other. You cannot go and say my name. I will say your own name too. So that's how. Because if you say my name, I'm saying your name. How did you see me? We met there. We were there. We're at the club together. How did you go there? You're a choir director. You want to tell me what? You were there too. Both of us, we were there. So we experienced it together. That's what I'm going to tell you, yeah. So that was it. Yeah. But we bless God for where God has brought us and how, and what God is doing with us now, especially in our nation and beyond the nation of Liberia. Yeah. That a lot of people are getting. And interestingly, I've never shared this entire drug and alcohol stuff anywhere before. I think if I just recently, me and a friend of mine was talking about it, and I was like, there's a time that's coming for me to share this testimony some places, because a lot of people know me to just be, oh man of God, you're in the spirit, speaking tongues and stuff like that, but they don't know the history where we come from. So it's a blessing to share for the first time in Kenya. Listen, don't try to impress. Don't try to impress. Anything you're doing, if you do it with your heart, it's going to be consistent in your life. If you're acting it, it's just for a while. It's just for a while. Even people that makes movie have a real life. After they get through acting, they go home. They have to live the way they live at home. So don't try to impress anybody. Do you know who you try to impress? It's God. Because it's God that sees your heart. It's God that knows your intents. You know, I tell people, I say that the first thing in life that you want to always get is your motive. If your motive is right, you can do anything. Now the Lord is using me to different nations to go and share. It's not because I try to impress anybody. It's not because I got invitation here, there. It's not because I try to look very perfect. No. It's because of the sincerity of what I've had in my life. So as a P kid, as a pastor kid, know God for yourself. Your father won't know God for you. Your mother won't know God for you. Trust me, they know God. Just in case Raja comes, they will leave you behind. In my brother say they will leave you behind. I mean, because for my Liberian people that will be watching from Kenya and other places, they will leave you behind. Amen. So, yeah, just by the way, keep doing what you're doing. If you have a talent, it's not everybody God has called to be a pastor. You can be a doctor and also serve God. Because you're serving people, so you're serving God. You're a blessing to people. You can be a lawyer and also serve God. There are people that have different careers. It's not everybody God has called into full-time ministry. But then you're a blessing because you're a blessing to people. You're showing them the right drugs to take because you're a medical doctor. Listen, it's not because you're a pastor. Sorry, it's not because your father is a pastor. It's not because your father is a pastor, so you must be. Nah. It's not because your mother is a bishop, so you must be. Nah. Ask God, Father, what do you want me to do? You don't have to. You can serve in the church. You can even be a cameraman to video. If God haven't called you into ministry, do not go there because it is a family thing. Abba, you're going to get it wrong. Don't do something that you're going to regret your entire life. Yeah, so that's my advice. So my social media handles is Jesse Pratt Ministries. So it's JESSE and then ministry. On Instagram also, Jesse Pratt Ministries. Yeah, on YouTube it's Jesse Pratt. JESSEPRATT. So it's Jesse Pratt. Yeah. So on all the social media handles it's Jesse Pratt. So you can follow us there. Yeah.